Hi, everybody. We are back with we actually have a pre-recorded video from Trinity Stamp Company by Cassie. Cassie was here and she said, I don't know if I'm going to read comments. My iPad's going to die. And she disappeared. So if she comes back, she will be here to answer questions. Otherwise, maybe she'll be in the chat. So I'm sorry she's not here right this minute, but I am going to go ahead and share my screen and start her video, and hopefully she gets her iPad plugged in or gets on her phone or her computer or something so that we can ask her any questions she might have. But, you know, I think that her projects are so good, I'm not sure that you're going to have any questions. So I am going to pop out and start this. I'm going to make the screen live for you guys, and there you go.
Hi everyone, I'm Cassie Trask, and I'm so excited to be here with the Bella Craft Holiday Craftathon. I am crafting with Trinity stamps today, and we're going to be making a fun fold. I can't wait to share with you what we're going to be making. I'll give you a little bit of a preview of what it is. You'll see the end result, but we're going to make a card just like this. So it looks like it's just a regular card, but then you open it up and you can pop your image that way. How fun is that? All right, so let's talk about the products we're going to be using. I've got this darling little stamp set called the Little Tree Gnome. It's a 3x3 stamp set. Has a cute little image. We also have our sentiments, and then it does come with matching dies. So this is a whole little set, stamp and die set. If you're crafting along with me today, you're just going to want to find an image that's not real big, you know, something that might be about 2 inches tall or so, or maybe even 3, I guess. Yeah, no more than that, because you need it to fit onto a circle. And so with that being said, I also have a Clean Cut Layers Circle Set A, and I've chosen a circle that is going to be bigger than my image. And that is the goal. That's the trick here. You want an image or a circle that's a little bit bigger than the image that you're choosing. So this die set is perfect for that. I also want to make my own background paper, and in order to do that, I'm using the checkered background. This is a 6x6 stencil, and then I also have this checkered background add-on. These are the trees. What's great about this stencil is that there are a ton of different add-ons for the different seasons that you have. There's snowflakes, there's shamrocks, there's hearts, there's other things too. It's just, and paws. It's really, really cute. So it's a great little base. You could use it by itself, or you can grab an add-on, which is what we're doing. You're also going to need some sort of, if you're going to alcohol marker color, some alcohol marker friendly cardstock, which is what I have here for our image. You'll need a piece of white cardstock. Our card is going to end up being an A2 size card, and it's going to be a top folder. So we've got our white cardstock. This measures 8.5 by 11 inches. And you're going to need part of it, and I'll show you how to cut it so that you can get all the pieces out of this one piece of cardstock. And then you're also going to need some red cardstock if you would like to back yours, or green, or whatever else you might have. But I chose some red, once again, 8.5 by 11, and we're going to trim that down to get our background. We'll start with our white piece of cardstock. We're not going to go ahead and make our background or our card base just yet, but we'll start with our white piece of So I'm going to tack my 5.5 by 4.25 inch piece of cardstock. I'm going to tack that down with a little bit of tape. And if it's a super tacky tape, make sure you get some of that tack off of there so you don't rip your paper. But I'm going to just stick this down onto my magnetic board. and I'm going to bring in my stencils. I'm going to start with our checkered background. This one will have to be moved around a little bit, and we'll do that as we go. But let's go ahead and start. I'm just going to tack it down right here. I'm tacking it down just in a couple of corners, making sure that paper stays too. I'm grabbing out a green ink for mine. This is the green ink I'm using. This one's called Fake Plant. And I am bringing in a blending buddy. So these ones are also from Trinity Stamps. They're very ergonomic. I really love those. And I'm going to go with a very light hand because I'm just using the one shade of green. If you have lots of different kinds of ink, that's great. You can choose whatever colors you want. But I'm going to start with a very light hand using this Fake Plant ink. And I'm just going to ink up my blending buddy. And then I'm going to very lightly, circular motions, blend that ink. Careful not to move my stencil too much. Just blend that onto the background. Once again, doesn't have to be like, you don't have to have completely even blending on here. You can have some of it be darker, some of it be lighter. It's really your choosing. I think that kind of adds to the background, making it not so, just really adds to that handmade element of it. All right, so now that I've got my background pretty much done, oops, there's a spot right there. I'm going to pick this up and I am going to have to move it. So all I have is that, but I need there to be, checks in the different areas. So what I'm going to do is I am going to go from here and we're just going to move it down. That's all we're going to do. It'll cover those areas, but if you're just shifting it a tiny bit that way, you'll end up getting what you're going for. I'll tack that down with another magnet. And then because this part is exposed up here and I don't want it to be, I'm going to grab some more tape and we're just going to tack that down to the top. Now, once again, we're using a very light hand on this part. We'll go heavier later, but we're going to start with light hand. We just want the checks on there. All right. And again, there's some lighter areas, there's some darker areas. I just need that to be on there. Okay, we can move our magnets and our tape. And you can see this really cool checked background. I think that's so fun. Think of the color combos, right? That's fun to me. All right, so now is when I'm going to bring in the tree stencil. This is our add-on. And you could put it in the white spaces if you want, but I'm going to put it right in the green spaces. Okay, line that up, try and make that as straight as I can. And then I can just tack this down. We will not have to move this stencil at all. It's going to hit all of them. And now I'm going to go heavier handed. So we're going to make sure those trees are nice and dark. They're going to pop on that light green on the background really nicely. Let's not move our stencil too much. If it does, you can just line it back up. So this stuff happens to all of us. Okay, we're going to put another one down. Okay, continuing on. And there might be a little bit of shifting with that, but again, this is a handmade card. As long as it's not too egregious, right? Which I don't know, I haven't seen it. Maybe it is. All right, I think I like how dark we've gone with that. Some of them are lighter, some of them are darker. I'm going to set my blending buddy off to the side. I don't need that anymore. And then let's move our stencil and see how bad we did it. Now, actually, it looks pretty good. I think that looks really good, in fact. If you wanted, one of my tricks with a background that maybe isn't exactly perfect how you'd want it is to use some sort of splatter on the background. Maybe you could use some gold splatter. That just kind of breaks your eye up a little bit as far as what you're looking at. So there's a nice tip for you. If your background isn't exactly perfect, just splatter some paint on the background. Then no one will really pay that much of attention. Okay, so I like this. Super happy with how that turned out. So I'm going to set this off to the side. We are done with it. And then our next step would be to do our stamping and our coloring. So I'm going to clean this mess up real quick. Well, if you're crafting along with me, maybe you just had cards, pattern paper, that's fine too. But now we're going to do our stamping. So if you have your image that you want, grab that out, grab out your whatever cardstock that you plan to use to stamp your image. which, like I said, mine is an alcohol marker friendly cardstock. And I'm also going to stamp out my sentiment while I'm at it. The reason for that is because I'm going to do the die cutting all at the same time as well. So I'm going to stamp my little guy, my little tree. We'll stamp him first, and I'm using, again, an alcohol marker friendly ink and cardstock. We'll stamp him down. Perfect. Clean that up, put that away. You can use the same ink if you would like. I want to make sure that my sentiment is a very crisp sentiment. So I'm going to use a pigment ink. This one is not alcohol marker friendly, so that's why and then I'm just going to stamp it here because, like I said, this is a stamp and die combo. So you can use those dies to die cut out your sentiment. All right. We're done with our stamp. So keep that close because we'll need our dies. I'm going to zoom in here. Okay. And then, like I said, alcohol marker coloring. So I'm going to just grab out some Olo markers. I'm going to start with our star. And I'll put those colors up on the screen for you. I typically color light to dark. That's just how I always do, with the exception of grays for some reason. I can't help myself. I just seem to grab the darks and then blend them out. I don't know why I do that. It just started once, and that was that. But then I'm not even very consistent with that. So I guess the moral of the story is you do what you're comfortable with. And I am comfortable with that. So I'm also bringing in some greens. We've got some G1.7 and G1.8. Again, these are Olos, but you use what you have. I tend to use Olos and Copics because I have quite an investment in both. For those of you who don't know, I have been stamping and card making for well over 20 years. And I've been designing cards for probably, well, I guess since about 2008, working with various companies along the way. Okay, so I'm putting down my first wash of color. Once again, I'm doing the light, and I'm avoiding the little baubles. We're going to color those with some red later. And this doesn't have to be incredibly perfect. Once again, it's a handmade card. And I have found that the reaction from most people when they get something that's handmade is, wow, I can't believe you made that. All right, so now we're bringing in that darker shade, and I'm just putting my shadowing and shading where I think it looks best. I have no real rhyme or reason. I suppose it's underneath the branches mostly, or the foliage, the greens, or the, whatever you call it. And under the beard a little bit. And then we'll just bring in our lighter color and do a little bit of blending that out, just to soften the edges. That's it. And that I'm not even doing very perfectly either. Okay, excuse me. So our tree is done. Now I'm going to bring in some red. So we're doing R1.5 and R1.7. I'm only using the 1.7 on like his outfit. I'm not doing it on the baubles. The baubles don't need it. They're so small. There's really no reason to add too much shadowing and shading. And you may end up getting some shadowing and shading if some of your color went beyond the bauble with the green. Okay, so we're going to do his clothes that same color. And of course we have our candy cane. And it's a small enough image that you probably wouldn't even have to add any darker bits, but I am going to, and I'm probably not going to blend it out. Just going to leave it as is. All right, for his skin, we're going to use OR 4.2. And it's just his nose and cheeks. And then O 4.4, and I'm not going to blend this out either. For his beard and his shoes and his gloves, we're sticking with the cool grays. So I'm going to use cool gray 3 for my darker shade on his beard and his mustache. And blend out with 1. All right. And then for his boots and his gloves, we're using CG7 and CG9. I very rarely use a black marker because black is just so dark. So when you use those grays, you can still see the lines of what you've stamped. And that's really, you want that. So CG9 is going to be the closest I get to like a real black. We're just using a little bit of it. And I will blend that out a tiny bit. Okay, there we go. So now this is all ready to die cut out. So we'll back out again. We're in. And then we're going to bring in our matching die. And I'm going to tack that down with a little bit of tape. I really actually do not trust myself. In the very beginning, I used to think I could do it. But you ruin enough stamped images that you've spent all that time on, and you start to change your mind. Maybe I should just tape it down. Take the extra second and tape it down. Okay, my die cutting machine is over to the side here, and it's pretty big, so we're just going to take this over here, and I'm going to die cut it. And that takes care of all our stamped images. I love that this little set is a die and stamp combo, and he's so cute. What's great about him is that you've got a gift for you, love and joy, and then your season's greetings. So I can see doing all kinds of cute little tags with this one also. How cute is he? All right, now I'm done with that. And we've got our little stamped image. So now we can start working on the card base itself. Now, like I said, I want red cardstock. I thought the red would go, obviously it's a complementary color to the green, and that's Christmas. And so now we're going to cut this down. So this again was 8.5 by 11 inches, and we need this to be a top folding A2 size card. So I'm going to trim this down to be 4.25 by 11 inches. Okay. And then you can save this one for another card. You don't need it. You just need this one. And then this, we're going to go ahead and score at 5.5 inches, because that's the very middle, very middle of our card. And excuse me, to reinforce that score line, I'm bringing in a ergonomic Teflon bone folder from Trinity as well. So there you have your top folding 8. All right. Now we need to trim down this piece. So I wanted there to be a little bit of a red border. So we're going to go ahead and trim this down to be 4 inches by 5.25. So that's going to leave a nice red border all around. So I'll probably just trim off about 1/8 of an inch from all the sides. Maybe 1/4 of an inch from this one. This one's fine to do 1/4. And then one more 1/8 of an inch to make this. Or about 1/8 inch. So now we're at 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. Okay, we're done with all those. And then as you can see, once you put that down, you're going to have a nice red border all around. Now that I have that kind of centered, I haven't glued anything down, but I do need to use my circle die cut. So I'm going to tack this down. Make sure that your tape isn't too sticky. All right, remember that circle that we had that was a little bit bigger than our die cut image? We're going to go ahead and tack that down over the top. Just kind of center that up where you think that looks good, and then put that down with a little bit of tape as well. Again, make sure your tape isn't too sticky. You don't want to tear your paper. I'm going to run this through my die cutting machine. Remember, this is 2 pieces of cardstock thick, so you may have to run it through a couple times, or if it doesn't cut through both, it will probably leave an indentation on the under piece, and then you can just kind of stick it in place. So I'm going to run this through my die cutting machine. Okay, let's see how that did. Looks like it die cut through both. Carefully peel your stuff away, making sure not to tear what the work you did or your patterned paper. Sometimes those patterns, we only have so many of those, so careful not to tear your paper. All right. And then I'm going to go ahead and glue this piece down to the front of our card base. I like to use liquid glue. There we go. I'm not going to glue this piece down. You could save it. You could do whatever. You could just leave it with the red. I actually really like this piece. And so I am going to find a circle die that is slightly smaller than the one I used. And then I'm going to run this through my die cutting machine again. So this way, I will have a nice red border around that as well. It'll frame it up. Okay, so I've got this extra piece that I don't need. And then I've got this piece. And now we're done with our circles. So I'm going to set those off to the side. I want to glue this down to my red piece. Again, making sure you have that nice little red border. And look at how that's going to go in there so nicely. Okay. Now we're ready to make the inside of the card. Remember that piece of cardstock that you had? That was 8.5 inches by 5.5 inches. We're going to trim it down. We need to be 8 inches. Okay, so we're basically cutting off 1/2 inch. So we need it to be 8 inches. And then we need it to be 5 1/4. So you're only cutting off 1/4 inch here. All right, now that we have it as 5 1/4 by 8 inches, we are going to score this now at 4 inches. So by scoring this at 4, we are scoring this paper in half because it was 8 inches. And then we're also going to score it at 6 inches. Okay, so that basically cuts this half in half. Use that Teflon bowl over so I can bring this in half. I'm going to reinforce that edge that I just scored, and then we will fold this one back and reinforce that as well. Okay, so this is that part where it goes pop. Now open up your card, and we're going to put glue on the big piece. And then we're going to adhere this down to the inside of our card. And that's going to leave a nice red border all around. The next thing we need to do is close it up. Now this piece right here is what's going to get some glue. This is the part that pops out. So that's the part that needs a little bit of glue. And then we can adhere down our circle to the front of that. Just kind of trying to line up since there's a pattern there. And then I'm going to carefully pull the top away. And we'll let that dry. All right, so now when it closes, it just looks like an unassuming card, right? But you open that back up and you pop that part out. All right, I want to pop these up. You could glue this down right on top of there. I want to pop it up with a little bit of foam tape. So I am going to use some of the Trinity Stamps adhesive foam strips. So they're double-sided adhesive, but they're little strips. And these work so good for all of their sentiments. So I'm going to pop up the sentiment also. And it fits right behind there so perfectly. Then I can trim off the excess. And we can use it on the back of our little gnome. Again, you wouldn't have to do this step. You can completely skip this step. I just love the addition of texture that it seems to give. So, all right, next up, we're going to peel off that double-sided adhesive. There you go. Pop him down on there, and then I'm going to peel off the double-sided adhesive on our sentiment. And we're just going to put that down below, trying to make sure that I get that fairly centered. But I don't want to stop there. I definitely want to bring in some embellishments, and I love these red, they're the ruby sparkle spots. I've been using these a lot lately. They come in different sizes in there. I'll just put it into my pickups or my tidy tray. And there's definitely a more glittery side and a more shiny side. I'll use my pickup stick. And I'll just start kind of sticking a few of those around. So there's different sizes, which is great, like I said. And I won't go too crazy. I want to, but I'm not going to. There we go. It's like I would never know when to stop. It's true. Maybe I won't put any on there. I'll just put some up there and there. And then we can use the other side. To adhere those down. Again, you could skip this step, but I do love to embellish. Maybe I'll do one more. Just like, no, we'll leave it at that. See, I told you, I never know when to stop. All right, and that is actually going to finish off our card for today. So I've got this beautiful little fun fold that looks, like I said, very unassuming, and you open it up and then it pops open and you've got plenty of room for your message. And because this is all completely covered, you could stamp another sentiment in there if you wanted. How fun would that be to have a cute little message in there? Embellish that however you want. But I love how this turned out. Thanks for spending some time with me today. I hope you enjoyed our card. If you do, thank you. Thank you so much. And we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Hi. Okay. There we go.
Hey.
So this is Cassie, everyone.
Technical difficulties.
You know, the one before you was way more technical difficulties. So this was nothing. This people, the last 3 hours, people have been having issues with YouTube,
Yeah.
but I know it's working, and I test it but and they know it's on their end, but this was great. Hi, everyone.
Yes, hey,
So this was so stinking cute.
I'm so glad you enjoyed it. I thoroughly enjoyed making it for y'all.
It was just adorable. And for those of you, because this is live for everybody, this project was all done with Trinity Stamps products, and they have fabulous dies and stamps, and they also have like all the embellishments and all the fun stuff. So it's a one-stop.
Yep. And I've worked with them for a number of years, and customer service is great, and and the people are amazing. So, and all the images are so cute. I'm so in love with the gnomes right now, obviously.
Yeah, this was adorable. I mean, I had downloaded it and everything, and I started it, but then I never had time to watch it. So it was new to me too, and it was like that background.
I know, right?
Background. Wow.
I know. I love making my own pattern paper with some stencils, and I love that one in particular. Stencils are so inexpensive, and I think that's why I like them so much. And that one in particular, you can do for different seasons because they have little add-ons, like the hearts or the shamrocks or the snowflakes or stars. There's stars too.
So many possibilities. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So cute. Well, we will have to do something else together again sometime.
I would love that. And that'd be great. Thank you.
Yeah. I think, because and Amanda is the one that told me, Cassie, she does a great job.
Love her too. Obviously, I love light up cards.
Love Amanda.
Before. I love light ups. I love Amanda and her husband. They're amazing, and their products are just great. So
well, and she's done the last 2 spring Bellicon events and this one, and so I mean, I love getting people together that have totally different styles, but stuff that is easy to learn, right?
Yeah. Yes. And I love to be able to mix and match it all together too. So I think that's, one of the fun things about, you can go in anybody's craft room and you're going to find not just one type of product, you're going to find it all. So that's,
I know, it's true. So I hope everybody enjoyed this. I know they did. They were commenting, and it's going to be here. So most of the people from the event, they've been here, they've been working, they've been traveling, but they'll all watch the reruns. So if there's any questions, I can get them to Cassie if you guys have serious questions that I can't answer. And thank you all for watching. I'm going to, the next live is in about 10 minutes, and it's with Sizzix. So
great.
it's scheduled, and everybody has the link. So I will see you all in about 10 minutes, and thank you. Bye, everyone.